how big is the industry in terms of revenue per year right now?
So right now, like programmatic media globally, I would say is $500 billion. It's growing like 14% a year. So it's still growing quite a bit. So we're seeing like $50 billion getting added to this economy every year.
Do you have a sense on how many people visit your websites per month?
Like I would say we're talking about 5 million people a month, maybe. So we're spending like $4 to $5 million in media buying. So basically, my name is Pedro Saynovich. I'm the CEO of ActiveView. I'm also a performance publisher. And what I do is help publishers monetize their websites, and I also monetize my own websites.
Welcome back to Growth Lab Sessions. I'm Joao, CEO of Stealth White Label Agency, and my mission is simple: to help marketing agencies grow and build sustainable success.
So Pedro, thanks for being on the podcast. It's awesome to be here. Are you ready to take it to the lab?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the invitation.
All right, awesome. So Pedro, you're a good friend of mine. We've known each other for more than 10 years and seen each other grow in our entrepreneurship journey. I went on this path of being an agency owner while you went on a different path of getting involved with something that a lot of agency owners don't know, right? So tell us, what is it that you do as an entrepreneur?
And it's funny because it also involves like paid traffic and like media. But yeah, so like it's funny that you mentioned, like I didn't know it was like 10 years ago, but I do remember we working out like plastic chairs and like grinding back in the day. And it's kind of like fun to see where we are right now, like talking about business, maybe like mentoring other entrepreneurs as well, and showing a little bit of what the success that we've got during the last couple of years. So basically, my name is Pedro Saynovich. I'm the CEO of ActiveView. I'm also a performance publisher. And what I do is help publishers monetize their websites, and I also monetize my own websites. So in the internet, there's a lot of people that do what some people call arbitrage. I prefer the term performance or performance publishers, which is basically when you buy paid media to blogs, to websites. Those blogs or websites, they're monetized by Google, and then you make more with Google monetization than what you paid for the traffic. And you can do that by leverage different markets. It's almost like the concept of liquidity pool in the finance markets. Basically, there are niches that the advertisers, the final advertisers, they need more volume, they need impressions, so they need the publishers that do performance to connect the audience with the final advertiser. I'll give you an example. One of the niches that we see a lot of people doing audience acquisition is finance. So a lot of final advertisers like Santander, Nubank, or let's say like American banks like Chase, American Express, they need people to sign up for the credit cards or the loans or their financial products, but they are very bad at targeting those users. So publishers, they are the ones that do better ads, do top of funnel content, explaining people how they can get better credit cards, explaining the credit cards, attracts that kind of users to their sites. And then on their sites, companies like Amex, they want to show their ads there, and they want to convert those users into paid customers.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I think that gives everybody a good sense of what you do. Now, let's put it into context, right? And let's talk about numbers, because agency owners are really in tune with revenue, with monetization, things like that. So, just to get a sense, what is the level of revenue that you make every single month from your websites?
A quick break in the podcast to tell you about Stealth, my white label marketing agency. If you're an agency owner and feeling stuck in fulfillment, hiring, and team management while trying to scale, this is for you. Stealth helps agency owners like you take fulfillment off your plate so you can focus on growth of your agency, from running ad campaigns and SEO to creating high converting content and managing CRMs. We handle the back end for your clients so you don't have to. Whether you're drowning in client work or struggling to scale your agency, Stealth gives you the support you need to scale without the headache. And if that sounds like a fit, then check out our website link in the description and book a time to speak with a consultant. And now back to the pod.
Yeah, absolutely. So this market's like a multi-billion market. There are a lot of clients from ActiveView. They're doing like 50 to 100, 200K a month. I would say those are like average clients. I've been doing that as a publisher for the last 7 years. So I've kind of like been doing this for quite a while. And right now my company has surpassed the $10 million monthly as a publisher. So as a publisher, I'm able to generate in revenue over $10 million monthly. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So for context, that's over 120 million a month in $120 million a year.
Exactly. And ActiveView is managing over $500 million a year in programmatic media.
Okay. Well, that's insane.
That's $500 million.
I don't think I've talked to an agency that does that much in yearly revenue.
And maybe it's because like I don't know much about the agency business model, but I like seeing you working. I know other agency owners as well, and I see that scaling service is a lot more difficult than scaling monetization.
Yeah.
Because with websites, you do a website in English, you can literally target audience from all over the world. But if you are offering a service, then you need people to execute the service. Then you need customers, paying customers, which is really hard to find. So I think the beauty of programmatic media is that in terms of scalability, I would say is the most scalable business model I've ever stumbled upon.
Yeah, I have not seen another business model myself that is this crazy, because the amount of people that you have in your company is so little in comparison to the revenue that you generate, right? So like we talked about over $500 million a year, right? How many people do you have working for your companies?
So for ActiveView to manage $500 million, we have right now, I would say, I think 54 people, so last time I counted. So our metric of revenue yearly per employee is over 150K,
wow.
Which is like, as far as I know, a really good benchmark in the tech industry.
Yeah, I mean 100K in the tech industry per employee is amazing. And being at 150K, that's surreal almost.
Yeah.
And so this is a very surreal industry that's kind of like an industry that nobody really thinks about, because when I tell them that I'm involved in publishing, they ask me like, what is publishing? And I start telling them like, it's essentially blogs that we monetize. We buy traffic, send it to the blogs and monetize it with the advertisers. And they ask me, wait a second, who's reading blogs?
Who's reading blogs these days?
Right?
And you know how scalable has been, because we have a joint venture together.
Yeah.
And you probably compare all the work that you do as an agency owner with the work that you've been doing as a publisher. Yeah. And you can see that with like 10 times less people, you can do the same amount of money. It's kind of like you cannot stop yourself from comparing once you see the numbers.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I compared the numbers recently, and essentially I have 80 people that works for my agency, and I spend about 90% of my time in my agency. And I'm doing 3 times more revenue in the websites with 5 people and 10% of my time.
That's crazy.
So 5 people and 10% of my time is doing 3x what 80 people and 90% of my time is doing. So like, that's kind of crazy when you think about it. And that's why I wanted to bring Pedro on, guys, to give you a new perspective that a lot of times you can be a great entrepreneur, but sometimes the vehicle is not that scalable. You can be a great driver in like a Volkswagen, or you can be the same great driver in a Ferrari. You're going to go much faster in the Ferrari.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so let's like step back and kind of, I think now we got the attention of the people watching in terms of numbers. I mean, like $500 million a year. Like, when did you see another agency doing something like that, right? Now, the point here is not to say like, oh, you should go into publishing, you should start a blog. The point is like, there's a lot of other industries and there's a lot of other business models that everybody watching can do because they have media buying skills, right? So let's talk about the blogs, for instance. You buy traffic, right? You like advertise on Google, Meta, TikTok, these other platforms. They come to the website, and then when they come to the website, they see like a top of the funnel content, right? And when they see the top of the funnel content, you are in the Google atmosphere, so you're displaying partners from Google that are going to be paying you by the click in the ads, and that's how you monetize. Is that how it works?
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So walk us a little bit, give us your perspective, like what was it like for you to get into this industry, and then are you happy in this industry? Do you see this industry moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So I first started like working for another company that was helping publishers monetize their contents, and a lot of the publishers that I was talking with were SEO publishers. So basically when you're SEO, like organic publisher, you rely on algorithm to give you traffic. So instead of paying for the traffic, you're actually looking for backlinks, like doing more content, and hopefully Google, Facebook is gonna send you organic traffic. But throughout the years, that model has kind of like suffered a lot because all the major tech companies, they started relying more and more on ads.
Yeah.
So basically some of the publishers that I was talking with, I saw that they were not doing organic, they were doing paid media instead. They were like buying their traffic and they were still monetizing. And I saw that their business model were more scalable. Like they were able to drive more traffic, more revenue than the organic publishers, which like sometimes were doing well, other times were not doing that well, like oscillating a lot. So I started to pay a little bit more attention into that kind of business model. I've noticed what those publishers are doing differently. One of the markets that a lot of the publishers come from are from Israel. Israel is like they're really big in terms of like performance marketing, in terms of like affiliates, lead generation. Some of the biggest companies in terms of media, which is like Taboola, Outbrain, and now MGID, they all came from Israel. So I started to talk to some of those publishers, and I've seen their business model, and like I kind of understood how that was working, and I kind of like decided to become a publisher because I could see a lot of potential into that model. As you become a publisher, there are different ways you can monetize your sites. Like I would say one of the most straightforward ways is to put ads on your sites. But a lot of people, they also put like affiliate links. Let's say ClickBank or other like affiliate offers. They do lead gen, they generate leads and they sell those leads. So there are other ways to monetize a blog. Some people do newsletters, some people there are a bunch of different ways to monetize a blog. But I would say once you understand the auction dynamics of putting ads on your sites, and you understand that you can attract, if you know how to if you know how to properly buy traffic, you can attract users, really good users, qualified users for cheap, and you can sell the same users by making them going through a funnel for the final advertisers for much more than what you paid for the users. Then when you see that in action, then is how you can start to scale your monetized blogs.
Yeah. Now, in terms of scaling the monetized blogs, right? A lot of the strategy that we do in the websites is to monetize only via displaying ads. But you talked about other ways to monetize: newsletter, affiliate links, selling leads to third parties. Are those not worth it? Is monetizing via displaying ads so much more worth it? When you compare what you should do, what are your thoughts around, oh, this is worth my time, this is not worth my time? Walk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when you're focusing on US, which is a massive market for affiliate marketers, then it might be worth to pursue affiliate offers, You do have to put a lot of your energy into making that work, because performance, you gotta test a bunch of things until you find what's working. But the beauty of paid of like ads is that they work globally. So if you're monetizing, like Google allow ads on most of the countries, not like countries that are going through war or that have some limitations like Russia, Ukraine. But if you're monetizing on, like, I would say 80-90% of the countries, Google is able to show ads. So instead of looking for affiliate offers in those countries, it's much easier to do funnels that have ads and try to make those ads pay more than what you paid for traffic. So I would say that working with programmatic media with ads is more scalable than affiliate than other offers. And then the really good publishers that I know, they use those other ways of monetizing as an additional way of adding revenue, not as the main driver, you know?
Yeah. So essentially, like, monetizing via displaying ads is just more streamlined.
Exactly.
Right? You can just turn it on anywhere and you're going to be able to start generating money. You don't got to talk to vendors. You don't have to talk to, like, people. You don't have to work out deals.
There's
It's
less
just, like,
friction.
Google has done it for you.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. Awesome. And then, you know, in terms of, like, people listening that are like, okay, I want to start my blog. Is it easy to start by yourself? Like, where is the technology today where people can just, you know, plug AdSense into their website and start being lucrative?
I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's like maybe like it gets easier with time. But I would say that probably compared to other business model, like let's say become an agency owner. Like if you want to become an agency owner, you want to scale, you need to hire people, you need to create process, like you need to have a good culture, you need to find the clients, you need to like avoid clients from churning. So there's a lot of like pain points. Same thing with publishing. There's a lot of pain points in being a publisher. Like when you become a publisher, you need to understand how to approve websites. Google has strict guidelines into approving ads on websites. You need to have enough traffic. You need to have enough content. You need to understand that kind of engine of approval that Google does, because once you understand the engine, then it becomes easier to approve the websites. Once you approve the websites, you need to understand about monetization. You need to understand about paid media strategies to start buying your audience. You need to get to break even, eventually get an ROI. Once you have an ROI, you need to be able to create process and scale and hire media buyers, hire writers, hire people, designers, people to kind of like work on your operation. So I wouldn't say it's easy, because in the past it was a lot easier than it is right now. I would say like every year the market becomes more complex. There's more competition, not only from other publishers, but also from other business owners that are getting into the digital space. Like back in the day, a lot of people are not investing in paid media. Now you're competing not only with other digital marketers, but you're also competing with like big, massive companies that are finding their users through paid media. But I would say it's still possible. Like it's one of the niches that, as far as like when I talk to other people with other like business owners, I still see it as a blue ocean, in my opinion.
Okay. So you see that publishing in general is still an industry that's going to keep growing.
I believe so, yeah.
How big is the industry in terms of revenue per year right now?
So right now, like programmatic media globally, I would say is $500 billion. Mm-hmm. And display revenue from Google grows, at least from the last report I've read, like a financial report from Google, it's growing like a 14% a year. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it's still growing quite a bit. So we're seeing like $50 billion getting added to this economy every year.
Do you have a sense on how many people visit your websites per month?
I have no idea of those numbers anymore. I would say it's probably quite a bit. Like I would say we're talking about, I don't know, like 5 million people a month, maybe.
5 million visits a month in all your websites. Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, and in terms of like how much you're spending on ads, can you share any of those numbers? Like, is there any ballpark on how much your group spends on ads every single month?
Yeah, so we're spending like $4 to $5 million in media buying. Our major media buying platform is Google Ads. We build tag, our publishing company build tag for Google Ads. Although a lot of my clients, they prefer Meta ads, so they drive more traffic through Meta. I would say on average, accounting for like operational costs, commission, like all the costs in the company. On average, a publisher that is doing over $1 million monthly, they have a margin of like 30 to 40%.
Okay.
So I would say that's like a ballpark of what I see in the industry. Yeah. So compared to other business, I believe it's quite a good margin.
No, it's a crazy margin. It's a really good margin, especially for how scalable it is, right? Essentially, like we're talking about a business that you can just increase the ads budget on the campaigns, and if you created a funnel where you're sending traffic to that's going to be able to monetize it at a margin, you just got to increase the ad spend, and then you're going to make more money, right?
That's the beauty of it, because as you control the traffic and you can buy more traffic, once you find the ROI, which is I would say is the most difficult part, because there are a bunch of funnels that you need to test, and there are a bunch of details that you need to tweak in order to find the ROI. But once you find the ROI, it's just a matter of increasing the spending.
Yeah. I mean, how much more scalable can you get than just increasing the spend and generating more profit? Now, it's not as simple as that, of course, right? It's not
never as simple as that.
Increasing the ads budget, but it's in theory as simple as that, but there's just a lot of details to that, right? It's not only one funnel, it's like hundreds of funnels, right?
There are also like risks involved. Like one of the things that maybe it's hard to find on the internet about, first, like it's really hard to find information on performance, like with blogs on the internet. A lot of the content that you see are from like publishers doing organic traffic or like social traffic. It's really, really hard to find content about this. But like one of the things that people don't highlight enough, if you do find content about this, is the risks involved in doing audience acquisition. So I've been doing this for almost a decade, and I've already lost a lot of money in the beginning by not paying attention enough to those risks. There's one of our accounts, one time we grew it to over $1 million monthly, and because of like some policy violations, Google hasn't paid us $700K USD, and we still had to pay for Google Ads traffic. So we pretty much we lost.
So you were supposed to receive $700K USD from the revenue that you generated from Google,
and I had to pay Google Ads, which was like around $400K.
So you had spent $400K in a month to generate $700 of revenue,
and I didn't get paid the $700.
And so you were $400K out of pocket,
and I had to pay the $400K because otherwise I would lose my line of credit with Google. So I still had to pay the traffic that.
So that's a major risk.
Major risk. So one of the things that people don't like about like audience acquisition is that because it's performance and the Google policies about content, they're not so clear. If Google disable one of your accounts, they have the rights not to pay you. So what we like with time, what a lot of our clients they learn to do is they create different accounts, and they are able to like diversify. Like being a publisher is all about diversification. Like having more than one website, more than one account. You gotta have contingency, otherwise something like that can happen.
Yeah, but that's a lesson for anybody in any business, right? Like you can't just have. You gotta diversify yourself, right?
I think a similar kind of like example is like maybe Amazon resellers, right? Like if you only have one account and then someone shuts down your accounts, then you don't have a business anymore.
Bye bye.
Bye.
But I think a big part of what I've seen from you grow in this industry is that you have gained a lot of notoriety in the space, right? You have your own like community of publishers that you mentor. You have your websites, you've grown a lot in revenue, you have your software company that helps publishers monetize in a better way. And through that, you've also grown your relationship with Google, right? With the buy side and with the sell side. Like you are actively invited to come and participate in Google's like meetings and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So like, how has that been for you in terms of like getting to know people at Google, getting to learn better about their practices and implement that in your projects and in the projects of your clients?
Yeah, it's been like really like important for the business, because as you get to know more Google, like any tech company, you see that like from the outside it seems like the perfect company, but actually when you start to see from inside, they also have a lot of gaps and a lot of issues internally, and a lot of things happen. A lot of things that happen, they are political. So as you go up in terms of leadership to Google, you see that becomes more and more and more political. So by navigating the environments, by going to events, by talking to the right people, talking to leaders, by explaining exactly what you do and making them have a little bit more confidence in what we are doing in terms of like business model, and by also understanding their targets, understanding what they are looking for, and trying to promote that, then that's how you actually become, from Google perspective, a solid business.
Yeah.
So what we've been doing for the last couple of years, like I've created a publishing community. When I was a publisher already, I've helped like over 100 publishers in the last years to manage their, like scale their operations. And then once we became a Google certified publishing partner, like an MCM, like once we were able to monetize other websites and they started getting invited by Google to events, then that's how, like, when we start to focus more on making Google understanding the publisher's side, like understanding their business, understanding their the issues that they go through, and then as Google was understanding more about the business model, then it was easier for Google to kind of like help these publishers grow as well, right?
Yeah, no, because that's something that from watching you and from being involved in this last decade of just like being your friend, but also getting involved with the business, it has changed a lot. Like before, it was so clear cut of like Google could just suspend somebody's account, right? They wouldn't say anything, they wouldn't like have any leniency, you couldn't understand like what was going on. But I feel like throughout the years that started happening less, because you have been somebody important in playing a role in how Google sees publishers, right? Like you've been able to go to events, you've been able to get to know Google's employees, you've been able to have meetings with them, with like executives. I know that you've gone to like Argentina, New York, Sao Paulo to chat with these people and to like see what they want the publisher community to do better so that Google is happier and like the experience of the customer, of Google's like client is happier, right? Like with the user experience is better. So I think that's important to know that like not only you've learned how to make money in this industry, you've also learned how to like chart a path for more sustainable growth, right? For like Google to increase this environment, to spend more in this environment, to gain more from this environment, because they see it as a positive and not as a negative, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that as a goal of the ActiveView, like to help publishers, performance publishers scale sustainably. Like we know that sustainability is a big part of the Google ecosystem. Like Google is always, like Google a lot of times is not worried about making more money, but it's worried about making sure that they're respecting the interest of the users and the advertisers. At the end of the day, the advertisers pay the account, so Google end up like putting more interest into the advertisers. But also a lot of the things that Google do is for the users, because if they're not respecting the users can go to other platforms, can go to Meta, can go to TikTok, can go to other places. And one of the major things that I believe it has changed throughout the years is that years ago, performance publishing was doing more with Meta ads, like with Facebook and with TikTok, with other platforms, Taboola, Outbrain, and Google was not like 100% happy about those traffic sources. But then people started to use more and more Google Ads, and Google Ads, in my opinion, is the like best platform in terms of like paid traffic ever. Like it's a really good in terms of like once you dominate Google Ads, you're really able to scale and find good users, like quality users. And just for you to have an idea, the last quarter, and I believe this quarter as well, we were the biggest advertiser in Google Ads, Brazil, like the team.
The biggest,
right? In the, I think in the new business category.
Yeah.
So they had in the past they didn't have like we didn't have a lot of notoriety in like buying traffic, publishers in general, and now there's literally like a team in Google Ads that only supports performance publishers. So I think this has helped Google understanding that okay, there's major revenue being done here, and I can't just like shut this down. I have to understand where it comes from, and of course any markets, like there will be bad players, there will be good players, and I think Google kind of like understood that, and now they're like helping the good players scale more, and they're still like putting like constraints and like things in place to make the bad players kind of like leave the industry.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Like when you think about how you and your group of publishers have changed how a major corporation conducts business, right? By like having an impact where you're spending a lot of money with them, you're generating them a lot of money, and that gives you a voice, right? And then that voice is for the better of the industry. So that's fucking sick.
Cheers, man.
Congrats for that. Because I really like admire you for that. And one thing that we talked about briefly that you mentioned, and I think is happening in publishing more than any other industry, and this is really interesting for agency owners, AI, right? And like automated media buying. I know that, you buy a lot of media, so there must be like something that you're doing in order to do it like automatically, right? Like there's a lot of movement in the industry of media buying to where software is just like optimizing campaigns. What's your perspective in that? Like, do you think that software is gonna do a better job than humans to optimize campaigns in the future, or is it already being done right now?
Right on. I think like in terms of AI, the first kind of like intro points into the operation of publishers that I saw AI really like getting into like optimizing and increasing the efficiency was content. Like before ChatGPT, having like multiple websites, you'd have to hire multiple writers, and then you'd have to rely on the writers to write in different languages. It was really hard. Okay, if I want to do a website in Japanese, I gotta find someone that writes in Japanese. Otherwise, it won't sound well for the people in Japan that's reading this blog. And this has like completely changed with AI. Now, like I was able to reduce the number of writers, cut off like kind of like writers that are not really good. Only keep the best ones, and then plug in AI systems like ChatGPT and other AI tools, and really increase the efficiency of their writing skills. And then just like that, we're able to write in like any language and create different sites and scale the amount of sites. So I think that was kind of like the first bottleneck the AI was able to solve. Once we really got into creating content with AI and kind of like make that better, because in the beginning, not sure if you remember, but Google was not very happy about AI content. Then eventually they created those their own AI tool, Gemini and all of that. Eventually they created the AI overview on SEO, which really impacted the organic traffic from SEO publishers. And it became kind of like more normal for publishers to use AI tools. After that, I would say that automating campaigns is really good in terms of like using AI. But in our case, what we did is like for the last 2 years, we put our best media buyers into contact with some of our developers, and then we make our developers understand how those media buyers were automating the campaigns, and then we replicated that kind of rationale into systems using Google Ads API, Meta API, and so on. So I wouldn't say it's like it's only AI. It's kind of like building a system that replicates human work, and then making that system better with AI, like plugging that, because before AI, what's really important is what feeds AI. So if you don't have the data infrastructure, the infrastructure to make sure that your AI systems are getting fed with good information, then you can have the best AI tools out there that are going to do the work for you.
Right. So how much is with the creating content, AI is like, it helps so much, right?
It does, yeah.
It gave you like 2, 3, 4, 5x. Like how much?
I would say 10x.
10x.
Yeah, 10x at least.
10x productivity with producing content.
Yeah, right now, before, one really competent person, a writer, could manage I would say 5 to 10 websites maximum. Now we have a squad of a writer, a media buyer, and someone doing retention, taking care of push, WhatsApp, email, all that. Those 3 people, they can manage over 30 websites.
30 websites. So one professional, a media buyer, a writer, and a retention specialist can take care of 30 websites.
30 websites. And not only that, the number of websites has increased, but more than that, the revenue per website has increased a lot.
Right.
So before, on average, you would do 20 to 30K dollars per website. Now, easily we can do over 60 to 80K per website. Some of our websites go over 100K. Yeah.
Of revenue?
USD monthly, yeah. Revenue monthly.
Okay. Yeah, so you're really taking advantage of AI, right?
Yeah.
And now the cool thing is that these AI, some of that you're buying, for writing, you're probably using AI softwares that's already out there.
We started using ChatGPT in the beginning.
Yeah.
Then we created our own AI tool that is plugged with some of the other AI tools. We call it Auto Poster.
Right.
So basically, we built something that builds funnels, contents on the way that we know that performs well. And it's kind of plugged into our WordPress theme. One of the things that we created as a publisher that really kind of put a lot of energy into growing our operation is having our own WordPress theme. And we have our own WordPress theme for the last 5 years. And then everything that we build internally, it's coupled with that WordPress theme. So it makes our work more scalable.
Right. And then as far as the media buying goes, that's a completely custom software that you guys built.
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
I would say that the software that we built that is really good for us right now, all our Google Ads campaigns, they're managed by what we call P-Media, this technology of monetizing websites. If we were to apply that same software in other industries, I would think that software would fail.
Okay.
I think it's only built for publishing, and probably for our reality, the types of conversions that we use, the types of funnels that we create. So it's very, very customized to our publishing reality.
And what multiple of productivity did the P-Media, the software that does media buying, what's the multiple that it gave media buyers?
So just for you to have an idea, I give commission to my media buyers, and when we create the tiers of commissions, we put from 0 to 100K profits. So basically, as they were able to generate more profits up to 100K, they would get a higher percentage of commission. And then we created that tier, but then months later, we implemented and scaled the P-Media, and now I have some squads that are doing over 500K in profits. So pretty much everyone's getting maxed commission in terms of percentage, because I didn't take into account the software that we created.
So essentially you made media buyers be five
to
times,
10x, yeah,
5 to 10x more productive,
more profitable, yeah.
more profitable.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, because like a lot of agency owners and people in the media buying space still think that media buying through AI or software is kind of like in the future. But I'm telling them, like, because I use P Media for the project, the JV that we have. And I'm already telling them, like, no, it's already happening.
It's already happening,
now,
yeah.
right? But the thing is that the software that you built is highly custom to like the operation that you have, right? So it's not like a tool that you bought and it just goes in and it figures everything out and it starts doing a great job. No, you created it specifically.
Exactly. So if I were an agency owner, maybe the exercise that I would do is map out the most profitable niche that you have in your operation. Let's say you're doing, I don't know, lead gen for some specific industry. Solar campaigns, exactly. So map out one of the niches that you were most focused on, and then try to automate it with AI, like try to automate the campaigns with AI and see if you can get like 10 times more customers without having to hire more media buyers, just by giving them the software, the tools that would allow them to manage more campaigns.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome, because I wanted to like share this idea. That's something I've talked to my team, my agency team about, and wanted to get your perspective on AI. So that's really cool. Now I want to get your perspective on something else that's like completely outside of like the space of, you know, being like more technical space, right? Now I want to get your perspective from starting from the bottom. Now you're here. Like, what was that like for you? Because you are someone that was super studious, right? You always wanted to become successful in your life. I feel like that's what I feel looking from the outside. You always had this strong desire for success. So you did what you had to do. You studied. You went to school. You got a really good degree. You went, like, you did your, was it mechanical engineering?
Yes.
Mechanical engineering.
Did a master's as well in applied science.
You finished your master's in Canada, right?
Yes.
You finished your master's in Canada. You're from Brazil, right? So just for context, if nobody got that by this point, you're from Brazil. You did your master's, you finished your master's, or you did your master's in Canada.
I did, yeah.
You lived there for like 5 years, right?
Like 7 years.
7 years. But after your master's, you worked as a salesperson, right? For like a technology company that helped publishers. And then you started your websites. That's where you grew, because you were able to start generating revenue and profit from your websites. Then you amplified that. You like became a coach and a mentor to other website owners. And then you started like your software company. And now you're generating like over $600 million a year in revenue. That's like $500 million in revenue.
Crazy,
like.
Yeah.
And through this time, you were able to have a lot of fun, right? But like you grinded a lot. But now you've been learning how to have more fun as like a person, right? You're still super young. You have been able to like grow as an entrepreneur, buy like different things, right? Whatever you want to buy, essentially you can buy. But like you're super smart with your money, in my opinion. But like, what is that like as looking back to Pedro like 15 years ago, really wanting to make it, and Pedro that you are today? Like, are you realized as a human? Like, tell us a little bit about that. Like, tell us about the success of an entrepreneur. What does that feel like?
Yeah, absolutely. First, like I do agree with you. I kind of always had the feeling that I would make it. So once I made it, I was not very surprised that I made it, because I knew it was all about putting the energy. So the first thing that I can tell to like people here is that you gotta have that fire. Like if you don't believe in yourself, because like it's all about that energy, you know. Like if you do believe in yourself, it's just a matter of time. You have to put a lot of work. You have to find the right mentors to find the information. But if you're committed at doing that daily, it's just a matter of time for you to find the right things. Everyone that I know that is successful has gone through a lot of failures, has suffered a lot, has gone through very difficult challenges. But you gotta become bigger than your challenges. So for me, life is pretty much a game. Like I knew I wanted to succeed in terms of like have that kind of freedom, and I do have that freedom now. Like I'd say, even though when I was working for other companies that allowed me to work remotely, and that when I was making good money, I already had that freedom. But you always like you want a little bit more. But once you get to that stage, you gotta find new challenges, because life is almost like a game. Like you gotta keep like pushing yourself to become a better human being. And what I've noticed is that once I've made enough money, I've realized it was not about the money. Like once you make enough money, you just realize that money is like oxygen. Once you have enough oxygen, you're good at it. Like you're okay. So you gotta find other reasons to keep going after performance. So I decided to become a better human. I decided to start doing therapy. I decided to get in shape. I decided to travel more, to get to know more people. I've understood that my mission maybe is not about making money to me, but as I make money to other people, and those people make more money, I make more money with them. So it became like I kind of like had to find new challenges to keep pushing myself. And now I see that those challenges are what like made me continue to want to strive in life, you know?
Mm-hmm. So what you mean is like you always have to go up a new level or choose a new game, or like when you look at your past and like your realization that I need to find new challenges, right? Is it because you started getting a bit bored, or like how did you come to those epiphanies?
I think so. Like once you start to make more money, and then you realize, because like if you are living life, and maybe a lot of people here that are watching this, they're living their lives thinking, okay, I'm gonna be happier when I have more money, and then you have more money and you realize you're not happier, then you gotta find other reasons, right? Like you start to kind of like, okay, maybe I had the wrong assumptions in mind. So first thing that I can say is that if you think you need more money to be happy, or you're either happy now or you're not gonna get any happier. So you gotta find happiness comes from the inside. You gotta feel happy, fulfilled about the things that you do. So once I realized that, I started to I stopped putting the weights into things like money, and more into things that I know that fulfill myself, like helping people, changing lives with people. Like right now, like making more money for me, it's something that doesn't give me more dopamine. But when someone close to me comes to me and say, hey, thank you so much, I was able, because of the commission, I was able to buy an apartment, I was able to change my family's life, that does give me like dopamine. That does give me like, okay, give me the goosebumps, you know? Yeah. So I think it's like what I did in life, it was like kind of like give different goals to and different reasons to why I was doing certain things. Yeah. And then that kept me pushing, because it was not about the money anymore, but it was about helping people. The more I help people, and my tool of doing that is making people have more money. Right. So I continue to have to strive and to become a better entrepreneur, become a better human, hire more people, give opportunity, grow the business. Then it all makes sense, you know? Right.
So like what's powering you today to keep growing your businesses is to help more people make more money?
Exactly.
Would you say that's
I would say yes. I would say like the more people I make rich, the richer I become, and the bigger is the impact that I can do in this planet.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
really believe that it like everyone is kind of like you have some sort of like talents that once you know how to use that talent, is almost like you're just like a vessel for God's like work. Like for me, I really know how to make money. Like I have this ability of being like creating wealthy. And I think if I am able to create that ability to foster that ability into other people, then I'm doing my best in this planet.
Okay, awesome. Now, let's talk about your daily routine a little bit, right? Like, what is a traditional day of Pedro? I know that recently it may have changed a little bit. I don't know, but like,
I have more free time now.
what's the average? What's like the regular day for you in terms of like? Because one thing I want to touch on is that you, even though you have like success, even though you're able to have like all of your people working for you, all of like your partners, like all of this money coming in, you're still studying, you're still being humble, you're still being a nice human. Like you don't really let success come to your head, right? You're able to stay grounded and stay on earth, right? And like, I still need to learn, I still need to be better, I still like, tell us a little bit about that mentality that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. So this might be one of the things that I've learned with the founder of QFI, Artur, like, which is like in the beginning, like my beginning of my journey as an entrepreneur, I thought I had to be really productive. I thought I had to put in more hours and be more efficient. But then I realized that in the long run, if you're really passionate about what you do and you have a good direction, you will outwork anyone in the long run. Because it's not a matter of like having to work like 12 hours, which I used to do back in the day. Like, I remember that like in the beginning, I put a lot of hours, but it's about like working the right thing. So right now I try to have a really good sense of priority. I try to define, okay, what are the biggest things that I can do that will have the biggest impacts in the operations? What are the 1, 2, 3 things that I can do this week that if I complete those tasks, it will be like 80% of my impacts in the operation. And that becomes clear as you grow as an entrepreneur. In the beginning, it's kind of challenging because you do have to do a lot of things. Like, as you have a small team, you do have to be a kind of like a jack of all trades. But as you hire people, as you work, you become a better entrepreneur, you probably find those things that have a bigger impact in the long run. So right now I just try to focus on those. I have a really good routine. Like I like to work out a lot, so I work out every day. I like to play tennis. I like to watch tennis matches. I like to travel, so I kind of like allow myself now to do more of those things because I have more free time. But I just by defining those things that I gotta do and making sure I do them on a weekly basis, I can get enough momentum to continue building the operation.
Right. But you also, like, when you work out by yourself because you love it, right? But like, as far as diet goes and like nutrition, you also work with coaches to help you like get the most premium nutrition and know what to eat. Is that right? Like, what does your regimen for food look like, or like for supplements look like?
Okay, so I think like I'm not the best reference for that, but I've done like my shape became a lot better in the last like 1.5 to 2 years. And one of the major difference was like looking for good doctors that kind of like helped me understand more about my body. And one of the things that I got really into was like biohacking. So I do blood exams every 3 months. I use ChatGPT to analyze my exams and trying to understand what things mean. Every time I go to my doctor, I make a lot of questions because I want to understand. Whenever they're giving me this like specific supplements, I want to understand what the supplement does. I want to see, because I have that kind of like mechanical engineering background, I do have like that science background of like trying to understand, okay, what has evidence and what doesn't have evidence. So I kind of like look for that. And then as you become better at that, it's just about like the tweaks. So if you go to good doctors, they'll tweak your diets, they'll tweak if you go to good coaches, they'll tweak your workouts, and then you become better with time. And for me, it's like it's just a matter of like becoming a little bit better every day. So I'll give an example. Like, one of the things that I'm experimenting with this week and that I was not doing before. In the past, I used to use MyFitnessPal, which is like the app that tracks calories. But then I just realized that I could do that with ChatGPT. So what I've been doing for the last couple of days, I want to lose a little bit more weight. Like there's like 3 or 4 kilos that I gotta lose. I just started to like take pictures of my meals, And then I realized a bunch of small mistakes that I was making. Okay, this I'm actually going over by those many calories, and I'm not going to be able to have like a deficit of calories and lose weight if I don't change this. So it's just a matter of like I do see my life as a bunch of small experiments, and I keep experimenting with things every day. And then as I understand more the results of those experiments, I just try to tweak my life every day and make it easier for me, make it better.
Yeah. So that's like the health side. You have the fitness side that you also do with sports and like gym and stuff like that. You have your professional life, which, you know, like we've talked the whole podcast about. And you also have like your social circle and your family, right? Like, do you put a lot of effort in that? Like, how do you balance, life and friends in your current life?
Okay, I'm a very social person, so I do like to go a lot, like to go out with my friends to have interactions. I like to travel a lot, so every time I'm trying to travel with friends, trying to go to parties with friends. A lot of times I've realized that because I like business so much, my best friends became my partners at something. Yeah. So right now, the people that I spend most time with are my friends that have some sort of business with me, or that have that business mentality that I do look for daily, right? So I've just realized that as you become kind of like more passionate about entrepreneurship, you just navigate more around other entrepreneurs. It's just like part of life. You know? Yeah. And I do try to do everything like something social every day. Like if I go to if I'm going to the gym, maybe going with friends. Like we've worked out a couple times the last couple of weeks. Going to parties like every week. Like going to events, doing networking, going to other like business events, traveling with people. That kind of like allows me to have a really good balance of like work and social life.
Yeah, and I wanted to highlight that because what's super cool about you is that you really created the life that you always dreamed of. Yeah. Right? Like you do exactly what you want. You have so much fun in your life, and you're always like experimenting. You're always trying something new. You're always like looking for something to keep your life excited about or exciting, and you do so much. Right? You have like this thirst for activities and for life, and you just want to do anything.
I'm just passionate about life.
You're passionate, and you're the type of friend that like if I invite to something, you're gonna like text me back like I already bought tickets. Let's go.
I'm a man of action.
You are a man of action, and that's like one of the greatest insights that I've taken from you is to like be super actionable. And I think like this podcast was super fun to, bring somebody to the show that has other ways of making money than like the traditional agency model. You're also somebody who embodies like what an entrepreneur should be, right? You're somebody that is successful. You're somebody that also contributes to the life of everybody around you in a positive way. Everybody loves you that like gets into contact with you. And so I wanted to also like highlight these other areas like your fitness and how much, you've been able to like lose weight and like take care of your body, your diet, like your, social side and all these other sides. I think that's super important for an entrepreneur that wants to have longevity, right? They want to like grow something that's super big, not like a 5-year business plan, but like a 30-year business plan. And having sustainability, and like finding more about yourself, what you like to do, and like what your value is to the world. So to close this off, I wanted, to ask you if you have anything you want to share with the audience in terms of like advice or in terms of anything. Let us know, like, what is the message you want to leave the viewers with?
Yeah, so you kind of highlighted one of the things that it's really important for me, and I've realized kind of like a superpower. Throughout my life, I've seen a lot of people that were more like smarter than me, more talented, not go as far in terms of like success, in terms of like say having money. And one of the main factors that I would kind of like highlight is it was that their ability of like getting things done. Like I think if you are an entrepreneur watching this, instead of like you don't need to have all the perfect information, read all the books, read all the like watch all the podcasts. You just gotta do like as you do things, the things become more clear. And when you're just an average person, but you put a lot of volume into like working to things done, eventually you're gonna be successful in whatever you do in life. Yeah.
That's it. Amazing.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, Pedro, if anybody wants to like get in touch with you or like follow you, get to learn more about your life, where can they get in touch?
Yeah, so my Instagram is at Saynovich, and my LinkedIn is Pedro Saynovich. So those are the two networks that I kind of use the most.
All right, well, I'm linking below in the show notes. And, you know, Pedro, thank you so much for being
Cheers,
on.
thanks for the invite.
I appreciate you,
appreciate
brother.
it.
It's always fun to chop it up with you. And for you watching out there, make sure that you subscribe to Growth Lab Sessions so you can see awesome episodes like this and, you know, get these insights from real entrepreneur making real money. I'll see you on the next one. Body, your diet, like your, you know, social side and all these other sides. I think that's super important for an entrepreneur that wants to have longevity, right? They want to like grow something that's super big, not like a 5-year business plan, but like a 30-year business plan, and having sustainability, you know, and like finding more about yourself, what you like to do, and like what your value is to the world. So to close this off, I wanted, you know, to ask you if you have anything you want to share with the audience in terms of like advice or in terms of anything. Let us know, like, what is the message you want to leave the viewers with?
Yeah, so you kind of highlighted one of the things that it's really important for me, and I've realized kind of like a superpower. Throughout my life, I've seen a lot of people that were more like smarter than me, more talented, not go as far in terms of like success, in terms of like say having money. And one of the main factors that I would kind of like highlight is it was that their ability of like getting things done. Like I think if you are an entrepreneur watching this, instead of like you don't need to have all the perfect information, read all the books, read all the like watch all the podcasts. You just gotta do like as you do things, the things become more clear. And when you're just an average person, but you put a lot of volume into like working to things done, eventually you're gonna be successful in whatever you do in life. Yeah.
That's it. Amazing.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, Pedro, if anybody wants to like get in touch with you or like follow you, get to learn more about your life, where can they get in touch?
Yeah, so my Instagram is at Saynovich, and my LinkedIn is Pedro Saynovich. So those are the two networks that I kind of use the most.
All right, well, I'm linking below in the show notes. And, you know, Pedro, thank you so much for being
Cheers,
on.
thanks for the invite.
I appreciate you,
appreciate
brother.
it.
It's always fun to chop it up with you. And for you watching out there, make sure that you subscribe to Growth Lab Sessions so you can see awesome episodes like this and, you know, get these insights from real entrepreneur making real money. I'll see you on the next one.